I have officially read every single Elsie Silver book that is released. Hey book besties, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be doing a complete roundup of all the books in the Elsie Silver universe. I recently completed all of her published books, so I thought this would be a great time to round them all up ahead of her next release coming out in May, which I cannot wait for. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and stick around for more book content. I love to share reading roundups like this one, book reviews, book recommendations, unboxing videos, and all the fun bookish things, so make sure you're following along. So I started my Elsie Silver journey last year. I was in like a big group buddy read where we were reading like one book every month, starting with the Gold Rush Ranch series. So I just finished it this year, and I'm in love. Like, I totally get the hype over Elsie Silver's books. I have had such a fantastic time reading these books. So I'm gonna like round up the books by series, and then we're gonna do a full Elsie Silver universe ranking. Before we dive in, I will say there's a lot of like talk about where you should start with your Elsie Silver journey, and honestly, you can start wherever your heart desires. But if you are committed to reading the whole universe, I recommend starting with the Gold Rush Ranch series. That is Elsie Silver's first book series, and I think you can see the progression of her as a writer throughout the whole universe, but also all of them are kind of interconnected. Like, each series, of course, is its own like town that's connected, but some of the characters bleed into other series. For example, one of the main characters in the Gold Rush Ranch series is named Violet, and her brothers are who are like the main characters in the Chestnut Springs series. And then in the Chestnut Springs series, one of the female main characters is related to a brother in the Rose Hill series. So it's kind of all connected. So it's really cool to see how the universes sort of meld together. So that's what I recommend if you're wanting to start this journey. So the first book in the Gold Rush Ranch series is Off to the Races. This was a great way to kick off the universe, and I really enjoyed these characters. And then I read Out of the Gate, which is a novella that you kind of, I don't know, you can probably read it wherever, but this is where it was like placed in the series order. So that's how I read it. It was like really quick, but this is like a prequel to the couple who started the ranch. And then it's like the two sons of this couple. So this was a really cute read. I loved this one. Book 2 is a photo finish, and this book follows the brother of the main character in the first story. And like I was talking about earlier, this is the story with the FMC Violet, whose brothers are part of the Chestnut Springs series. Book 3 is Front Runner, and this book follows a main character who we've seen in the other two books, but he was like a bad guy in the first book and in the second book. I remember being like, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this guy. He is like a jerk. Well, until you meet him. I'll just say that. And the last book in the series is A False Start, and this book follows the sister of the main character I was telling you about in book 3. So they're very much connected that way, but they're also all connected to Gold Rush Ranch, which mostly does like horse racing. So that's kind of what you're seeing, but also the female main character in the Front Runner, she is like the vet. So it's all very much connected in this little community. Now, one thing I will say is that while I did enjoy the Gold Rush Ranch series, I mean, the Chestnut Springs series is one that just is super hyped up, and like, I wasn't really sure how I was going to feel about it. Like, was it going to live up to the hype? Was it going to give me those vibes that I was thinking it would give? And it did. I remember I was reading Flawless, book 1, and there was just a vibe, a feeling I was getting where I was like, wow, this is it. This is the vibe. This is what everybody's talking about. I totally felt it in this book. So there are 5 books in the series, and there is also a novella. So we have Flawless, which is book 1. Now these books are very much like, they're cowboy romances, of course. I should have probably said that in the beginning. All of Elsie Silver books are cowboy romances, but this one follows a bull rider and his agent, and they have to team up together because the bull rider made a mistake and he has to be put in his place. This was so good. I loved the banter in this one. Then we have Heartless, and Heartless follows Cade, who is one of the Eaton brothers. The first book is an Eaton brother as well, and they have a ranch. He works on the ranch with his father. Now, I will say, this is like everybody's favorite book in the Chestnut Springs series, but I did not really care for this one. I don't know. It's weird because I really liked Cade, like in all the books, to be honest. But when it was his book, I didn't like him. I don't know, whatever. Next up, we have Powerless, and Powerless follows Jasper, who is not an Eaton brother, but he's sort of an honorary Eaton brother because his family was like kind of breaking apart, and so the Eatons sort of adopted him into their clan, and he was so great. I was a little nervous about this because this is a sports romance, and I'm not a big sports romance person, but yeah, this is the book that made me realize how much I love Friends to Lovers. Next we have Reckless. Again, this book does not follow an Eaton brother. We're following Theo, who is a bull rider, just like Rhett, who is the MMC in Flawless. So this was interesting. Oh, also the sister of the female main character in Flawless is the main character here. So that was interesting. And like the front runner, the female main character here is named Winter, and we meet her in book 1, and I hated her. She redeemed herself in this one. She definitely has the best like character growth through the whole series, I will say that. And the last book is Hopeless. This one follows Bo, and he is one of the Eaton brothers. We hear about Bo a lot throughout the series, and one thing that I will say is that while this series is an interconnected standalone, I think you have to read these in order because there is a lot of story building within the books that help you give context to the characters. For example, like Winter in Reckless, we meet her because she's Summer's sister in Flawless. And I think you can really see how much she grows when you see where she started from. And the same thing for Bo in Hopeless. Bo is in the military, and in the beginning of the books, you see his personality. You can see this like bubbly guy who's always having fun or whatever. But in book 3, he ends up in an accident, and he ends up having PTSD. So when you meet him in book 5, he is not the same person you've been meeting throughout the rest of the series. So you're already on a journey with him to figure out what happened, how he's dealing with it. It was just a really, really well done story, like very complete. So I will say, if you are wanting to read these and you're wanting to read all of them, I do recommend reading them all in order. And then there is a novella. It's called Christmas in Chestnut Springs. This is just a fun little story that takes place, of course, after all of these books have happened. And there's 5 chapters. Each chapter follows one of the MMCs during one Christmas, and it's just so much fun, like being with all these characters again. I really loved it. I could definitely see myself rereading this every year just to be back in the Chestnut Springs world. This was such a great addition, I think, to the story to give the readers a little bit more of this world. And now the most recent Elsie Silver completed series is the Rose Hill series. This one we have Wild Love, which follows Ford. He is the brother of the FMC in Heartless. So we do see her a little bit through the story. Now I will say, like, I really didn't care for Willa in this book, and so I wasn't sure how her brother would be. And we did hear about her brother, of course, but I loved him. This was a childhood Friends to Lovers, and Friends to Lovers has become one of my favorite tropes. So I really enjoy this. Then we have Wild Eyes, and the MMC in this is the FMC's brother from book 1, so we've got some connection there. He's also the best friend of the MMC in the first one, so this was just like a great story. And also it's a celebrity romance, so the FMC is a pop star, which was a really cool aspect. Then we have Wild Side, and this one follows 2 characters who like were not really related too much to the rest of the books. The FMC is friends with the FMC in this one, but we don't see her too much in this book. But this one was a very interesting read, really different, but I did like it. So one thing I will say about these books is that like all the MMCs are in like a daddy bowling league, so that's kind of how they're connected. Mostly, like a lot of times it's like families, like in the these first 2 books it's like families, but for the rest of them it's more just like friends who are already like established, which I thought was really cool. So that's kind of where we see the MMCs in these 2 books. This one was so good. It was a bit of an age gap and like ex-boyfriend's dad, which were tropes that like I'm not really usually a fan of, but these characters were so good. So now let's go over my ranking. I didn't actually do like a series ranking, like which series I like most or whatever, but I should probably do that. I would say in the number 3 spot would be the Gold Rush Ranch series. I loved the series, but as a whole, definitely not my fave. And then, it's hard. I really do love the Chestnut Spring series and Rose Hill. It's hard. You know what? I can't choose. They're a tie, I guess, for number 1. All right, now let's go over my complete ranking of the series. We're gonna start at the bottom and head all the way to the top. So on the bottom, I have A False Start. I won't lie, I really struggled with this story. I just like wasn't vibing with the couple. It was like kind of an age gap, and I'm not always a fan of age gap, but also like the MMC was too grumpy and like the FMC was too sassy, if that makes sense. I don't know, it just wasn't my thing. Next we have a photo finish. Again, this one was just like okay to me, like I don't know, wasn't my favorite. Next is Heartless. Like I said, I really wanted to love this and I had high expectations for it, but it really fell flat. I did not like Cade. I really didn't care for Willa. They weren't my favorite characters. And like single daddy trope is not always my favorite either. And so this one just, it wasn't for me. Then we have Hopeless. I liked Bo and Bailey, but not like a lot. There were other couples that were much better for me. Next is Off to the Races. I liked this book a lot. It was a great start to the Elsie Silver universe, but the couple didn't like stand out over others. And then we have Wild Side. Again, I liked them, just not as much as others. Then we have Out of the Gate. This is such a fun novella. I just had so much fun with it. And I feel like nobody really talks about this one, but I really enjoyed the story and I felt like it really told us a lot about the whole universe in the Gold Rush Ranch series. Next is Wild Eyes. I really enjoyed this story. This was so fun. I loved like the pop star element to it. It was just different than something I've read before and it was fun. Then we have Flawless. This one, I feel like a lot of people say that like this is one of those books where you have to like get through the first book to enjoy the rest of the series. But I really loved this. I thought it set up the whole universe so well. I loved Rhett and Summer. And honestly, I think Summer is my favorite FMC from this series just because I loved her so much. And now the rest of the books are all books that I rated 5 stars. Like they are just all so good. It is hard to put them in an order, but this is what I came up with. Next is Christmas in Chestnut Springs. I loved being back in this universe. It was just so much fun. I loved this so much. Then we have Wild Love. I really thought that this was gonna continue to be my favorite book in the Rose Hill series. I was surprised that another book knocked it out of the top spot, but I loved it so much. Next is The Front Runner. I just loved this so much. It's so interesting because like the rest of the Gold Rush Ranch series was only like okay for me, but this one knocked it out of the park. Like it was just so phenomenal. Now we're at the top 3. First is Wild Card. I loved this story so much. It was just so relatable for me. This has a curvy FMC who also does yoga. She's a yoga instructor. And as a curvy girl who does yoga, I loved the representation there. It was just, I was swooning over these characters and I was so surprised because I did not expect to love them as much as I did. Number 2 is Powerless. Oh my God. Again, I wasn't really expecting to like these characters as much as I did. And I was so gripped by them. I fell in love with them. I did not think any of the other books in the series was going to top it. But I was wrong because my favorite Elsie Silver book is Reckless. Oh, here's the thing. I feel like of all the Elsie Silver books, Jasper and Sloan are my favorite couple, but Reckless is my favorite book overall. I just really loved the story on this one, the relationship that Theo and Winter had, also the character growth of Winter from the whole series that we saw come to fruition in this book. It was so good. And there's a trope in this book that it's on the back. I won't say it though, but it was on the back of the book and I thought it was a plot twist. I was like, oh my God, what happened? It's the premise of the book, but it shocked me. And I loved how the story unfolded after that. It was so, so good. Loved it so much. Well, there you have it. My complete thoughts on the Elsie Silver universe. It's so good. She is absolutely my favorite romance author. I have loved her being in her worlds, the worlds she creates, the relationships, like it's just so beautiful. And I get to meet her in May during her book tour for Fever Dream. I cannot wait. And when I tell you that I like set a timer, set all kinds of alerts on my phone to make sure that I was there exactly when tickets went on sale and I snagged mine immediately. I got my ticket. I am very excited. So I cannot wait to meet her, get a signed book. I'm going to be getting a copy of Fever Dream. And then I'm also probably going to get a copy of The Front Runner because that's the only like favorite book I have of hers that I don't own. So I thought that'd be a good one to get signed. So yeah, I'm very excited. It's going to be so much fun. In the comments, let me know some of your thoughts on the Elsie Silver universe, your favorite book, your favorite series, just anything you want to share. I want to hear it all. Thanks for watching, besties. I'll see you next time.